Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Mosque of America Qur'an Literacy Program open session of discussion number 3. This open discussion, is held in remembrance of our founder, Hasna Maznavi. So let us begin with the dua. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya Allah, we gather in remembrance of your servant Hasna. Accept what she sent forward, continue its benefit to her, and grant her light, peace, and the highest place in Jannah. Bring ease to our hearts and make this a gathering of sincerity and connection. Help us honor her through how we live and how we continue. Amen. Again, thank you for being here and welcome. Whether you're part of the Qur'an Literacy Program or just part of the larger Women's Mosque of America program, you are welcome here. And we want you to know that this is a space that we hope you feel comfortable in being here. Um, One thing that we want to also ask ourselves is, what does it mean to carry forward what she began? Hasna's relationship with the Quran began early. By age 15, she had read it cover to cover in English, and that really shaped how she understood access, and who gets to engage the Quran and how. Her path was not conventional, but it was deeply intentional. She often reflected that she did grow up feeling included in her mosque, but it was later as an adult that she encountered spaces where women were pushed to the margins. That contrast really mattered to her. Perhaps it showed that exclusion wasn't part of Islam, wasn't inherent to Islam. It was something constructed. And instead of accepting that, she chose to build or construct something different. The Women's Mosque of America began as a small gathering and grew into a space where women could lead, where access mattered, and where community could take shape without those limitations. In her final years, the vision included the Qur'an Literacy Program, a space to engage the Qur'an directly and within community. And the truth is, that need Hasna responded to hasn't really gone away. The need for women to be fully included in sacred spaces on their own terms still exists. The need for access to the Quran without barriers, the need for leadership that reflects the entire community, that work is still in front of us. So I want to engage you in this responsibility that I think it is all of our responsibility, and that is to solidify the existence of the Quran Literacy Program, to solidify the existence of the Women's Mosque of America, and to ensure sustainability of its foundational programs, in particular to restore Jumma'a and to continue the Quran Literacy Program. But before we continue, I want to pause a minute and make an important acknowledgement. Alhamdulillah, along with Hasna, the Women's Mosque of America exists today because of the work of many people. Its founding members, past board members, over 10 years worth of Khateebahs, and its community. And at its most fragile moments following the passing of our dear Hasna, those who carried this work forward with great care and commitment, like Nadia Shaiq, Nura Maznavi and her family, Zan Chris, Zaha Safadine, Anna Kapati, Dr. Shokat, and many more, such as the donors who continue to give, and our QLP enrollees who stayed with us, who showed up and trusted the process, and everyone who made dua and offered support. Your help held together the Women's Mosque of America, and may Allah bless you all for that. We certainly appreciate you and we thank you. So, with that being said, today it is my honor to welcome someone who has been part of the journey from the very beginning, Edina Lekovic was our very first Khateebah at the Women's Mosque of America and has long been a leader in community building, storytelling, and public service. She currently serves as the executive director of the Robert Ellis Simon Foundation, where she supports mental health initiatives across Los Angeles County by investing in community-based organizations that meet people where they are. Edina is also a founder of the LA Muslim History Project, an independent living archive preserving stories of Muslim Angelenos, featuring oral histories, a 150-year timeline, and a growing collection of community memory and documentation. This work emerged from her time as an initial community scholar in residence with UCLA's Islamic Studies program, where she developed a course called A People's History of Muslim Los Angeles. We are so deeply grateful for her presence with us today. Edina, we're honored to have you. Thank you for being here.
All right, it's too fast to get emotional. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It is more than an honor to be with each of you. It is a dream come true. And subhanAllah, I want to start. I'm not a subhanAllah, mashallah girl, but I have been in a season lately of reading the days through Allah's poetry. And so I have been seeing the subhanAllah more. And we're coming out of the Ramadan season. So if that gets under your skin, because sometimes it does, yeah, bear with me. The Women's Mosque of America is a dream come true. And it's a dream that I never carried in my life to have a women's mosque. As a child, I grew up in a culturally Muslim home from the former Yugoslavia, what's now Montenegro. And I dreamed of not being Muslim, quite honestly. And then I went to UCLA and met really cool, surprising Muslims. It was the women who I met who changed my life and my faith and my relationship to Allah forever, and who catapulted me from wanting to not be Muslim into wanting to be more openly Muslim and not wanting to pass, given my given my whiteness. So I decided to wear hijab and follow in my foot, and also stand alongside my sister who had decided to wear hijab, and my dad said, no, you can't. And so little sister decided to stand with big sister too. And that's a more recent part of my story that has bubbled up for me. And so when the Women's Mosque came along into my life, it was either December 2014 or January 2015. In that moment in my life, that summer I had heard from Hasna and her founding co-president, Sana Mutalib, who I don't know if she was able to make it here, about what they were working on and this idea, and that they were getting both women and men together to build it and all of that. And I thought, well, I'm pregnant. It's not something I can deal with. Yeah, I can help with. I'm a helper. It's not something I can help with right now. And subhanAllah, in December, I think, they reached out to me and asked me to be the understudy to the beloved Dr. Rania. She founded and directs the Rabata Institute, which Mariam had been a student of and had facilitated her love of the Quran and love for Allah into being a student of the Quran. And it was part of the journey that allowed her to create this beautiful community. So I said yes to being an understudy, because how often does an understudy have to step up? And I was happy to be an emotional safety net. I figured Dr. Rania had a plan. She was Dr. Rania, a scholar in her own right. Then January 3rd of 2015, my mentor and beloved friend, an agitator, Dr. Maher Hathout, God rest his soul and elevate him into the highest levels of paradise, please, passed away, or as I've learned to say, returned to Allah. Allah called him home. And thanks to the African American tradition of the homegoing, that also resonates in many languages. So he passed away January 3rd. My baby girl, second child, first and only girl, was less than 4 months old, or just turned 4 months old. And I was holding both of those things, and also holding the truth that I wanted to take. I wanted to look at my babies every day, most of the day. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I knew that I wanted to actually be there. And so I was holding all of those things at once when it was 2 weeks before January 25th, when the day arrived, when they called me up and said that Dr. Rania was not able to come after all because of a complication that had arisen with her, and my stomach dropped. It's a long introduction to tell you that I was terrified instantly of the weight of what I had said yes to, of my ability to stand before people like you, and say something true, say something that was not hypocritical, which was a very, we all second guess ourselves, that I chose to name that I was not a scholar, that, all the things that I realized that we do as women, and that I too do, even though I've been on the scene for a long time. I felt all of those things in those 2 weeks, all the things I'm not, and why I should not be the first. There should be a first. I should not be the first. Well, Dr. Toot had been called home to Allah 3 weeks earlier. And when they called me, probably 2 weeks afterwards, or a week after, I don't remember, and told me this, and my stomach dropped, I immediately heard some version of his voice, which always he would teach us: if you are invited, try to find a way to say yes. If it's an opportunity to connect hearts to Allah, and connect your heart in the process, and you've been invited, try to say yes. And if you are called to be the first, do your best to be the first, knowing that you need a first in order for there to be a second and a third and a fourth. And all of that rushed into the space where my stomach had left open when it fell. And I knew that okay, this is what I'm doing. And the Women's Mosque only became real to me when I stood on that podium and looked out before my sisters. We all know those moments where you're like, it's not that life is flashing before your eyes, but it is a sense that everything, like the things come together. And after having been in public Muslim activism for 15 years and being one of the onlys, we've all had the experience of being one of the onlys, and I wore hijab for 25 years until 4 years ago. I was a member of the Islamic Center of Southern California, which is pro-co-ed, pro-women, has had women on the board since the 1950s when it was formed. So I thought I didn't need a women's mosque. Then the process of interacting and connecting hearts between myself and standing on that podium, owning that we as Muslim women, whatever we bring to the table, that we should step up with it. And that is both a challenge and an obligation, and that the Women's Mosque of America is a manifestation of that and a continuation of our history. And as I stood up there, truly, I felt still like the wrong person to give the khutbah. All these years later, this is going to connect right back to Hasna, and it is a tribute to her. I have always wished that she gave the first khutbah. I have always wished that she gave khutbahs. It has always been a prayer for me that she would step out from behind the scenes and take a more active role. And subhanAllah, through the Qur'an Literacy Program that so many of you are a part of, that did happen. And Hasna, Hasna Maznavi, was a vessel, and she always prayed to be a vessel for this community. And I want to, I'm sure I'm either hit or past my time, but I want to connect Maryam Hasna Maznavi to say Sayyidina Maryam in this way. I don't know how many people knew that the M stood for Maryam, first of all, and often the Maryams of the world are not called Maryam in the same way that Muhammads are often not called Muhammad in real life, shall we say. Well, Maryam throughout the Quran, Allah calls her Maryam, mother of Isa, every single time. And every single time Isa is mentioned, he is always called Isa, son of Maryam. They are inextricably linked. She, mother of Isa, Maryam, was raised in a temple and prayed to be of service throughout her life. And Allah provided for her mysteriously and sent her on a journey she couldn't imagine. And put her through, gave her the test of a lifetime by answering her prayers in the form of the birth of a son, the birth of a child, who I believe in the Quran Allah calls the word of God. Kalimullah, please correct me and God forgive me if I'm making any mistakes there. Mine and mine alone. Our dear Maryam, may she rest with mercy and forgiveness and be elevated to Jannah, was the mother of the Women's Mosque of America. She was the vessel for this space and this, our own and her own little word of Allah. And that has emerged for me over and over again over this past year since Allah called her home. Mysteriously, suddenly, and after great trial and tribulation. A lot of it, some of it that we saw, a lot of it that we didn't, both in her health and her sacrifices, and the fact that she was as a veteran, and Dr. Nayawiyyah is really a veteran in activism and community life. Hasna was a newbie, in so many ways when she was 29, 28 or 29, and ventured off to live out her dream. And along the way, just like Maryam, mother of Isa, Allah charged them both with shaking the tree, putting a lot of effort and sacrifice in themselves in order to get the fruits of the labor that Allah promised to them and that they were vessels for. Hasna worked hard, sacrificed a lot, and she shook a lot of trees. Sometimes those trees that she shook were the other women who were working alongside her to build this community and build this space. She worked hard to work with other women, and as a new leader, working to weave so many women of so many backgrounds into a sacred space she had dreamed of for her whole life. May Allah reward her eternally and elevate her position, expand her grave, fill it with light, and may it be a Fatiha for her. I will close by sharing that I recently learned during Ramadan, actually in the footnotes of, in the study Quran, in the footnotes of Al-Fatiha, the very first chapter, the tafsir explains that in some Muslim cultures that the janazah and the burial are called the Fatiha. And I don't know if any of you are part of cultures who, I don't know whether formally or informally, call this process, this transition, the opening. I believe I read that it's South Asian and Southeast Asian, some cultures, and some maybe part of within, of course, I don't know. And so at Hasna's janazah, her sister Noura said, Hasna's book is now closed. Our books are still open. And the Women's Mosque of America's book has only gotten more open with all of you who have been on this journey of the Qur'an Literacy Program. May Allah bless you. May Allah fortify you in your journey. And may Allah open paths for you that allow you to be closer and closer to the source of love, who is Allah. And may Allah again multiply infinitely the good that Hasna did. May Allah forgive us all for our mistakes, whether we know that we're making them or not, including Hasna. May Allah allow us to build community and withstand the hardship of working together, whether we are single sex or co-ed. And may Allah allow us to, in Dr. Nayawiyyah's words to me offline, preserve, uphold her legacy. Did I get it right, Dr. Nayawiyyah? Uphold her legacy?
Yes.
And I want to add on and say, I hope that we can be her legacy, be part of her legacy by continuing to be students of the Quran, because Maryam Hasna Maznavi spent her life knowing that it was fragile, and very few of us knew that. And so may Allah bless us all, forgive us all, and allow us to reunite in the Akhirah in Jannat al-Firdaus and be next to the prophets and with the wives of our dear and beloved prophet. And may Allah bless all of you. Thank you for your patience with my words. Thank you for your patience with my words. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, thank you, alhamdulillah, and Ameen. We appreciate you grounding us in that reflection. I'm sure so many of us, there are things there that many of us, because a lot of the people who are in the Qur'an Literacy Program are not as familiar with the work that she did outside of the Qur'an Literacy Program. So I appreciate your words so much, and so that everyone can get a fuller picture of what the Women's Mosque is all about. And inshallah, well, come on board and we all work together to make sure that we sustain things for generations to come, inshallah. So thank you so much. I'd now like to introduce our Qur'an Literacy Program Facilitator, Nadia Shaiq. We are so grateful for her skillful execution and the way she stepped into this position without hesitation. Nadia has been such a vital part of making sure that the Women's Mosque of America is maintained. And she's really a key reason why the Qur'an Literacy Program is really thriving. We just started our third year of this program this past January, and the program has not missed a beat. And alhamdulillah, she's a big part of that reason. Nadia, I'll turn it over to you now.
Assalamu alaikum. How is everybody? Thank you so much, Dr. Nayawiyyah. Thank you, Edina. It was wonderful to hear from you from that journey, from the first khutbah of the Women's Mosque to where we are today, 12 years later. So what I wanted to do before we jump into our QLP today is give some space. I'm looking around the room and seeing so many faces, some part of QLP, some not, some former board members, some former Khateebahs, and within this group, there's so much beauty and knowledge and just amazingness. So I'd like to give some space for anybody who'd like to share their own experience, either with Hasna, with the Women's Mosque of America, with the Qur'an Literacy Program, what it has meant to you. So those of you who know me know I am a teacher by profession, so I know at first I'm going to give some space and no one's going to say anything for a while, and that is totally fine. Wait time I'm okay with. I think, Paula, are you a teacher? You had a knowing smile right there. So I'll open it up now, inshallah, to anybody who'd like to speak. And those of us in the QLP know that feel free to push yourself to share something and or listen and absorb. Go ahead, Candace.
Assalamu alaikum. So I put something in the chat, but since nobody else has raised their hand yet, I thought I'd just share a little bit. in terms of speaking it. So I can't remember the exact year. I'd have to look, but it was like post-pandemic, like, but early, like 2021, maybe around there. I was part of a small convert group that Sister Hasna was doing, and I just really appreciated the fact that she was part of my journey to get back to Islam. I wanted to believe, but I had a concussion in February 2018, and it really disconnected me. There were just things that I was struggling with my memory and my emotions and spiritually. I mean, I was reading books about or reading articles and books about spirituality, like losing it after a brain injury, and I didn't really find much. So I was like, okay, I have to just walk this path myself. And she was one of the people that helped me to get back to things and connect with other Muslim converts. So I just appreciate like some of those simple things that I was like relearning at the time, like doing wudu and just the different steps of prayer that I was struggling with. So I'm just like really grateful to be part of this.
Thank you so much. Well, what a story of each of the journeys we're on. Go ahead, Samir. I see you.
A very furtive hand raise. But yeah, I'm super grateful to be here. Thank you for sharing, Candace, and also Edina. I really appreciated and felt so much resonance with what both of you had to say. I joined the Qur'an Literacy group after finding the Women's Mosque of America on YouTube. Just I don't remember what in particular I searched that day, but I remember that I found it and I just kept watching video after video, and I was so heartened to see like so many female Khateebahs, which is something that was pretty novel for me. It's not something I've seen in real life in my experience going to mosque. So like save for maybe lectures online that I've watched by like Dr. Haifa Yunus, I've never seen a place where like women can go up and teach in that sort of way. And yeah, I feel like Hasna's whole like energy and countenance every time I logged on was that of like teaching and grace, and it was very like inspiring and comforting as well. Like she definitely was serious about like, if you don't read, that's not an excuse. You should be reading, but also come still. You'll get something of value from a meeting. And I always found that to be true. And I feel like in the past like 2 years of being part of the group and hearing so many people's like just like thoughtful shares and different things that they've gained, like it's made me more reflective. It's made me more uh just eager to go and like read my own Quran. And yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot by being part of the group. I know that I'm definitely more practicing now than I was when I first started, which isn't necessarily an explicit goal, but I feel like it just happens because you like develop more of that hunger for what is, good for you. And yeah, I feel like I lost a little bit of the thread of something that I wanted to share. So I guess I'll stop here while I'm still coherent. And yeah, thank you so much for continuing to have these and leading them. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Krishna, and then we'll follow by Shahram.
Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, I was having the issue of muting there.
You got it.
Hasna was so meaningful as a person, as a contributor to this deen, as a spirit blessed by Allah. I appreciate so much that she gave a voice to sisters, and I heard khutbahs that I would never have heard or had the opportunity to even know that these sisters had, all this scholarly information, all this oratorical capability, all this resonance and presence. And so I hope and I hear that the in-person khutbahs will come back, inshallah, a little bit sooner than later. And I think that's a good thing. And I would encourage everyone to participate as much as possible. I didn't realize how much I would miss that until it wasn't available. I had the pleasure of working with Hasna on two hitbahs that I did, one that I think is okay, and one that I would like to do again, because I think it could have been better. But, and may Allah, forgive me if I say something that's a little bit too opinionated here. But what I want to say is there have been many, many, many occasions lately where I think of Hasna because I'm around doing activities with a lot of gentlemen, a lot of brothers. And sometimes I'm thinking like, well, who helped you with that? Good luck, because, you know. And Hasna had a methodology which could be challenging, but she made sure that you were following her prescribed way of how you should do this to keep it, open and flowing for what was needed to reach sisters and to not be telecasting anything that's not the deen, inadvertently or purposely. And that's so meaningful. So they were always, every sister was very polished in their delivery, very thoughtful. They're just beautiful, beautiful pieces of work. Then the Qur'an Literacy Program, I had the opportunity to talk with her a little bit when she was working on that, some logistical and technical things she was trying to figure out. And I must say, I was just amazed that she had the energy to do this and that she was doing all that. I hope I was encouraging. That was my intent. And then the third thing I think I want to say is Hasna is basically, she was the same age as my daughter when she transitioned. But she had the presence and resonance of a young person and a very mature person. So often in my conversations with her, we were like peers. But occasionally I got a glimpse of the young woman that she was. Hasna told me about there's like a Black Surf Day. They have every year. Inshallah, maybe this year I can make it. I haven't made it there yet. But, she just knew I love water. I went to one of her water picnics, my husband and I, down near Huntington Beach one time. It was so delightful. And so, we had other things that we talked about, not just, what was needed for the Women's Mosque. So I hope that we remember her always as a fully rounded person who accomplished way more than most people accomplish in that short number of years. And may her, maybe she be lifted up always and remembered by people everywhere always. And I appreciate you all doing this for her today. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much. Walaikum salam. Let's go to Shahra.
Assalamu alaikum. I grew up in LA, and when I was doing my undergrad at Cal State Northridge, that's when I learned about the Women's Mosque of America, and I learned about Hasna, the founder, and I saw some of her. I wasn't there, but I heard about her and her beautiful khutbahs and everything, and I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to be present to meet her or to actually join the Women's Mosque because I ended up getting married and moving out to Dallas. I'm sad that I didn't take the opportunity while she was here to meet her and to be part of the organization then. But in Dallas, I did join the mosque over in Irving and got to hear Omar Suleiman and Brother Asser speak, and that was very inspiring. And I was delayed in my, I'm delayed in my journey because I think that I was a little lost in my life earlier, and I'm trying to find my way. And I'm just so grateful to find you all now. It might have been a little late, but I'm so just grateful. I'm sad that I wasn't here when your founder was. I'm sad about that, but I'm so grateful to be here today. And I want to start with, the Women's Mosque is wonderful because I can meet with other women and talk about my journey and maybe connect. in a way that I wasn't able to. So yeah, I'm grateful, and I'm so glad that it's so. I didn't realize like today it was her death anniversary, and I just joined like knowing that today was our meeting, and then I said, "Oh, I remember her," and yeah, so sad. I didn't even know that this happened, so I'm just so glad to be here, and thank you for letting me be part of it, and part of the Quran literacy program. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much. And I'll, I always push back on language. I don't think it was delayed at all. I think it was right when Allah wrote it for you. So, a couple of you have mentioned really interacting either with Jumma's in person or online. I wanted to put in the chat, if you can go there, there is the links to different places people can go, Facebook page or Instagram page or YouTube channel. And there are videos of many of the khutbahs, many of the talks, Ramadan series, and also the Quran Literacy Program series as well, those discussions. And Hafsa, one thing she said is she wanted to record these because part of the reason for the Women's Mosque and the Quran Literacy Program is to give a balance to the Ummah and voice, and give a diversity of voice. And she wanted to capture that diversity of voice, not just for the people in the room, but people for generations to come. So that's why that is all online. Also, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you can sign up there, as well as anybody who's not in the Quran Literacy Program, click that link to sign up for the waitlist for next year. Let's go over to Kanwa.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm on my earphones, but it's I didn't have the opportunity to meet the founder, which I was surprised after I signed up that I learned that she's with Allah, because I was looking forward to learning from her, because I came across this mosque through my own search about just helping me give myself a voice when it comes to the spiritual understanding of things. And just seeing her point of view, it was very inspirational. And like going through all those YouTube videos, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait. And then I signed up, and after I signed up for the program is when I learned the reality. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me and all of us the courage to be half as influential as she was, because like I'm telling you, like not knowing that she wasn't among us anymore, I felt like I was learning so much. And that's, I guess, the beauty of the world we live in currently. And it's very inspirational. I've always been very I in my mind I always walk a very thin line between tafsir and tadabbur, and I'm like, oh my God, am I okay to make this mean this? And just the way she presented things, and just the fact, like from the soul of this program, not only do I give myself that permission, now I am very peaceful about what I understand, and I will leave the tafsir to the scholars, but I am very happy to have this this level of understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted me. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her the highest level in Jannah. And yeah, I thank you for all of the board members and all of the people in the background who are putting in the hard work.
Thank you so much. What I'd like to do, because I said we have a mix today of people who are part of the Quran Literacy Program this year, people who are not, is give everyone kind of a taste of how the Quran Literacy Program works. And we wanted to do this around the theme, one of the themes that is emerging from Hasna. So let me take a second, share my screen. All right, so we are again in chapter 2, verses 261 to 274. So write that down somewhere if you're trying to reference it to. 261 is where we're going to start. All right, so I'm going to read and then we'll break into our discussion. So 261 starts with, the parable of those who spend their possessions for the sake of God is that of a grain out of which grow 7 ears. In every ear 100 grains. For God grants manifold increase unto whom he wills. And God is infinite, all-knowing. So some of you are going to really be diving into this one verse in particular in just a minute. You're going to choose what you're going to want to do when you reflect. Others are going to look at this a set of 13 verses in holistically. And one of the big things in the Qur'an Literacy Program is not just pulling out one verse out of context, but looking at the Qur'an and the messages in the Qur'an holistically. So for that reason, I'm going to read the other few verses so that we have it in the back of our heads. I'm not going to read the footnotes here, but people in that group will. Those who spend their possessions for the sake of God and do not thereafter mar their spending by stressing their own benevolence and hurting the feelings of the needy shall have their reward with their sustainer, and no fear need they have, and neither shall they grieve. A kind word and the veiling of another's want is better than a charitable deed followed by hurt, and God is self-sufficient, forbearing. O you who have attained to faith, do not deprive your charitable deeds of all worth by stressing your own benevolence and hurting the feelings of the needy, as does he who spends his wealth only to be seen and praised by men and believes not in God in the last day. For his parable is that of a smooth rock with a little earth on it, and then a rainstorm smites it and leaves it hard and bare. Such as these shall have no gain whatever from all their good works, for God does not guide people who refuse to acknowledge the truth. And the parable of those who spend their possessions out of a longing to please God and out of their own inner certainty is that of a garden on high fertile ground. A rainstorm smites it, and thereupon it brings forth its fruit twofold. If no rainstorm smites it, soft rain falls upon it, and God sees all that you do. Would any of you like to have a garden of date palms and vines through which running waters flow and have all manner of fruit therein, and then be overtaken by old age with only weak children to look after him, and then see it smitten by a fiery whirlwind and utterly scorched? In this way, God makes clear his messages unto you so that you might take thought. O you who have attained to faith, spend on others out of the good things which you may have acquired, and out of that which we bring forth for you from the earth. And choose not for your spending the bad things which you yourselves would not accept without averting your eyes in disdain. And know that God is self-sufficient, ever to be praised. Satan threatens you with the prospect of poverty and bids you to be niggardly, whereas God promises you his forgiveness and bounty. And God is infinite, all-knowing, granting wisdom unto whom God wills. And whoever is granted wisdom has indeed been granted wealth, abundant. But none bears this in mind save those who are endowed with insight. For whatever you may spend on others, or whatever you may vow to spend, verily God knows it. And those who do wrong by withholding charity shall have none to succor them. If you do deeds of charity openly, it is well, but if you bestow it upon the needy in secret, it will be even better for you, and it will atone for some of your bad deeds, and God is aware of all that you do. It is not for you, O prophet, to make people follow the right path, since it is God alone who guides whom he wills. And whatever good you may spend on others is for your own good, provided that you spend only out of a longing for God's countenance. For whatever good you may spend will be repaid unto you in full, and you shall not be wronged. In the last part of it. And give unto such of the needy who, being wholly wrapped up in God's cause, are unable to go about the earth in search of livelihood. He who is unaware of their condition may think that they are wealthy because they abstain from begging, but thou canst recognize them by their special mark. They do not beg of men without importunity. And whatever good you may spend on them, verily God knows it all. Those who spend their possessions for the sake of God by night and by day, secretly and openly, shall have their reward with their sustainer. And no fear need they have, and neither shall they grieve. So that is one day's worth of reading in the Qur'an Literacy Program, or one session's worth of reading. What we're going to do now is actually go through the 5 different types of reflection questions that Hasna wrote in the curriculum. You're going to have a chance. I'm going to go over with you what they are, and then you're going to have a chance to review it. I'm going to give you a few minutes to reflect on your own, either in a journal or a piece of paper, or if writing is not your thing, dictating it and recording it. Or if you are in the QLP program, you can use this opportunity to log into Discord and do one of your 2 required reflections for the month. So for 10 minutes, we're going to reflect on our own. In 15 minutes, for 15 minutes, then you'll go into your breakout room, share, and then come back. Okay, so your question is, what am I going to reflect on? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to go through the 5 different types of reflection questions. At the end, I'll show you all 5. So don't worry about capturing these or writing them down yet. But the first the first piece is the required piece is the read it section. Okay, so this we're calling the grounding room. If you choose to go into breakout rooms 1 or 6, and do read it, what you're going to do, the purpose of this part of the curriculum is to anchor everybody in the text, as opposed to kind of pulling out things we think to be true. To stay close to the text, avoid jumping ahead too quickly, and really talk through what stood out in the verses. So this group is going to read these verses again and read the footnotes in particular and discuss what they read. Okay, so what stood out to them. So if you choose read it, you're going to either go to breakout rooms 1 or 6. It's going to be the same thing. There's just a lot of us. And you'll read the verses, the footnotes, and talk about what stood out. Okay, the first group. Second group is the reflect group. If you choose this one, you're going to choose either breakout rooms 2 or 7. We're calling this the inner life room. The purpose of reflection questions in the curriculum are personal and spiritual engagement, quieter, more contemplative. Quieter, more contemplative. What does this mean in your life right now? So in the curriculum, the reflection question for these verses is this. God describes Satan as one who threatens us with the fear of poverty, calling us to be stingy. Imagine your life. Are there people or groups who operate this way, using fear, manipulation, and the threat of poverty to coerce and control you? On the contrary, God promises forgiveness, bounty, and the wealth of wisdom. Who are the people in your life who encourage you to value these ideals instead? So if you choose to be part of this reflect group, you're going to be reflecting and talking about these 2 questions. Third section, remember I said there was 5, is the explore and investigate room, or the critical thinking room. Here is where we expand our understanding. We unlearn quite a bit of the things that we learned growing up that aren't actually rooted in the Quran. We approach things with curiosity and think about what are we learning, what assumptions are being challenged. So in this group, if you choose to join, you're going to go to the link I put in the chat from Islam Awakened. Islam Awakened is a website that lists all the different translations of verses. You're going to look just at verse 261, that metaphor of the corn with the ears and the grains, but look at that verse through many different translations, talking about what are the similarities and differences you notice, what translation resonates with you, and how does your understanding of this verse and what God is telling us grow by reading the different translations. So we've talked about 3 rooms so far: read, reflect, and explore. 4th room is apply it, and we're calling this the embodiment room. The purpose of this is to move from insight to action and to think of concrete, small, realistic steps. What will you do? What will it look like in real life? So this application actually is going to be broken into there's 2 different questions Hasna puts in here, so you can choose which one you choose to reflect on and discuss. The first part says, God tells us that a kind word and forgiveness or veiling of another's want is better than charity followed by insult. Do you ever follow your acts of charity by reminding the receiver of it or by expecting something in return, whether consciously or unconsciously? When you give to others, do you consider their feelings too? Remember a time when you were in need and had to receive charity from another. How did you feel? The next time you give to others, keep this memory in mind so the receiver can experience the dignity, kindness, and respect that you would wish to receive if you were in their position. Since God clarifies in verse 219 that to give whatever you can spare, this means that sometimes people have nothing to spare and are unable to give material or financial goods. If this is your current situation, then use verse 263 as an inspiration to give charity in the form of a kind word to someone experiencing need. The second part of apply it, here are the questions, and you can choose to reflect on this instead if you choose. Giving openly versus secretly. Giving openly is important because it inspires others and encourages a cultural norm of generosity. Giving secretly is especially loved by God because it purifies the giver's intention and guarantees that charity is being given for the right reasons. Do you give openly, secretly, or both? If you only do one, try doing the other to see how it affects you spiritually. If you find it's more difficult than the type of giving you're used to, then keep doing it until both types of giving feel equally natural and easy to do. And the last group will be the connect group or the relational group. The purpose of these questions is to build community and shared meaning, less on the analysis and more on witnessing and bonding. So in this group, the purpose is listening deeply. What are you taking with you from others? So here from the curriculum is what the discussion prompt was for connection. And it says to feel free to discuss these answers with accountability partners, friends, family members, in a journal. And the question is, God equates wisdom with abundance, wealth in 269. What do you think is meant by this? What is your definition of wealth and abundance? All right. So do me a favor. If you can, these are the 5 rooms again. Read it, reflect, explore and investigate, apply it, and connect. Take a second and look at the screen. You can take a screenshot of this screen if you'd like. Look through the questions one more time, and I'm going to give you a minute to choose which one calls to you to reflect on.
Buy groceries and things like that. How do we continue this abundance of giving when it comes to Sadaqa? Also, someone had brought up that also with the atrocities happening with the continuous wars, including the genocide in Palestine and now Iran, when you literally do speak out, you could lose your job, especially if you have a more public profile. So what does that mean for just the kind of act of giving in terms of speaking out? So that came up as well. And just really honoring what Hasna created in this space, just the act of even her giving this Sadaqa Jāriyah for her, as well as this group here. Anyone else want to kind of chime in from our group?
That covered everything.
That was good.
Yeah.
I see, Raida, you were about to say something. No. Okay. Oh, you're on mute. I don't know.
Sorry. Listen, Nahin, I wanted her to take point on that, but just I think one thought is in the section of Hasna, there is a lot to explore in Sadaqa Jāriyah. We underestimate the power of what we leave behind. I'm so grateful to Hasna and to the legacy here, the conversations that we're having, the people that are brought together in this moment. I think there is a lot of beauty in what is able to move forward, whether it's the Qur'an Literacy Program, all of us coming together and thinking about how we talk about faith, reality, moving words together. Hasna could not have put words to that necessarily, but I don't have words in this moment because I'm humbled by what she wanted to happen is happening. And I think that that's above our pay grade. Why, subhanAllah, like why these are the things that we are told to leave behind us. I didn't want to speak because my words are behind the thought. So Maheen, Sarah, the Reflect team, I really wanted to just reflect, but those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much. You said that beautifully. How about the Explore group?
Hey, assalamu alaikum. Sorry, I'm a little winded, but yeah, we had a good discussion on looking at the different translations, exploring like certain translations that were a little different from the others. I believe Sakina pointed out Shabir Ahmed's translation. We had a conversation about the names of God, what the meaning of wasit was, or infinite or all embracing or all encompassing. And then also I had a question about how certain translations deal with ambiguity in the text. There are certain phrases in Arabic that are ambiguous, and then in the translations you have to often decide upon one of the translations versus another. And in that particular translation, there was a phrase, "Wallahu yudha'ifu liman yasha." God multiplies to whomever. One meaning is to whomever God wishes. God multiplies that reward. And then another translation could be based on the ambiguity. God multiplies for whomever wishes themselves. So there's that aspect hidden in the text of the individual desiring multiplication, desiring having a good intention about God, desiring to put in to get that reward from God, and that God is multiplying for that person based on their intent. I don't know if I missed anything. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much. Sorry, it sounds like you were on a hike. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Paula, can I go back to you for a second, just because we didn't turn on the recording and I want to make sure we capture the apply group. Do you mind just briefly sharing again what you talked about why people chose to come to apply and that idea of acts of kindness is Sadaqa Jāriyah?
Oh man. Okay. I thought I was off the hook.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's why I went first. Okay, so one of the sisters talked about coming to the choosing apply because the Quran is our basic instructions before leaving Earth. There are some people who say that that's what, the word Bible stands for, but they talked about that how in the Quran, Allah is telling us how to live our lives. He's telling us what to do. He's telling us everything that we need to know. It's our instructions. And that the apply group was chosen because it makes no sense to do all this studying. It doesn't benefit us to just read these words if we're not applying them in our real life, if there's no application of these words that are on paper, and that this charity that we give doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, but it can be emotional support. It can be psychological support. It can just be something as simple as a kind word that you give to someone. You never know how that one little small thing is going to impact them. When you talk about, the pebble in the pond, the ripple effect, you never know how your one good deed or your one sweet word is going to brighten someone's day or change their outlook, or they pass it along to the next person and then the person after that. I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing some things. I definitely feel like I'm missing some things, but I'm pulling out the best that I can. One of the things we also talk about is one of the reasons I chose the apply group was because of the question, has there ever been a time when you needed something and how did that make you feel to have to ask? And I know the reason that I do the job that I currently do, I'm in social services, is because I was treated so poorly when I needed help. And I made a vow to myself that I would never let anybody else, if I had any power in my life, I would never let another person feel as dehumanized as I was made to feel during that time. So it's like, we're all just trying to live on this earth. So let's just love each other and do the best that we can.
I love that. Thank you so much. Raida, you have your hand up.
But she got there at the end. I just had to say, you nailed it. The applications, the hardest part of the application never feels like we're applying it when we apply it, right? You ask God for patience. It doesn't feel good when we're, but I can't say it better than what you just said. I raised my hand before you said it. You're doing the literal work. This is it. When you are called into in the hardest moment when you don't know where you're going to give it, that's when God is like, be kind, be gracious, be good, be compassionate. Rahma happens when you think, I don't know where it's going to happen. You know, so I'm changing my raised hand to well done. This is, I got to tell you, I got to go back in this Qur'an Literacy Program. This is what, this brings together a certain caliber of work. Not even women. It's people who care about why we do what we do. That's what it attracts. It attracts the meaning behind the life.
Sorry, old timers on alert. Rida was the first operations director of the women's mosque.
That's not.
She and I coming back into this space and just being like, whoa, 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 is the subhanAllah factor. I'm going to speak for you, but I could see like she and I had lunch this week and we were both like, what's going on? Our love that needs a place to go. So I see you, Rida, and I want you all to know she was the first operations.
Wait, enough now.
Don't tell anybody.
No, and I love that. And I think this just brings home what, we talked about, we started talking about Hasna, we talked about Sadaqa Jāriyah, and we connected that into the Quran, and then connecting back to us, how we have that ripple effect also. So I am going to put in the chat before I turn it back over to Dr. Nayawiyyah. If you're not currently in it, please join for next year. This is our wait list. We'll start in January again. Like I said, each voice is important in this program. And this is a way to structure our continuous reading and deepening of the Quran. So I encourage everybody to sign up. So with that, Dr. Nayawiyyah, I will turn it back over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who shared. I am always blown away every month for the last 3 years. There's something exciting about the connection that we have and that we feel towards each other every single time. Alhamdulillah. So glad to have so many people from the last 12 years here today. It's been amazing to have you here. And we pray that what you have experienced is exactly what Hasna envisioned, a space where reflection is collective, where all voices are honored, and where the Quran is really actively engaged, not just an intellectual exercise, but lived experience. So as we come to a close, just want to leave that last consideration. It's been a theme of legacy that we've talked about throughout this period of time. And consider that, legacy is not just something that we inherit passively, but it is something that we choose to carry, and we can choose to move forward. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we invite you to stay connected to the Women's Mosque and to get involved. We have so many more events that we have coming up. And the biggest one is we have to restore Jumma'a. And we know this, and we're putting all of our effort into doing that. And we need your prayers and we need your involvement to make that happen. So inshallah, stay connected. The Qur'an Literacy Program, discussion number 4 is scheduled for Sunday, May 3rd, 2026, 5 p.m. And just want to end with a dua, and that will be it for today. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Allah, accept this gathering from us. Allow us to be among those who carry forward goodness, who build with sincerity, who lead with compassion, and who remain steadfast in truth. Keep our hearts connected, our intentions pure, and our action pleasing to you, Ya Allah. Amen. Thank you again for being here. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Everyone next time.
Thank you.
Salam alaikum.
Alaikum.